Okay, let's start our lecture now. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the software and the methodologies that we can adopt for development of the software. We have discussed briefly about that methodologies. In today's lecture, we will discuss the software development method and different stages of different methodologies that we adopt to develop any software. First thing is that we will study about the software development life cycle, how we can develop any software. As we know, we have to develop a effective software so the customer can be satisfied. Our customer can use that software according to their demand. So we have to make a cycle, or we have to make a methodology. By adopting that cycle or methodology, we can develop the best quality software. So the goal of adopting that cycle or process is to build the high quality software, as well as we want to build the software best software at the lowest cost. As we know, we are working in the software houses or in software stage, we are working with two things, that are the cost and over quality, because we have to develop a software within our budget. So our concern is that we want to enhance the quality of the software, and we want to decrease the cost that will be available or that is within the budget of the customer. So while the technologies, methods, perspectives about the building high performance and scalable software services have changed, the responsibilities and actions have not. As we know, day by day technology is developing, and we have to adopt the new methodologies, new technologies and new era. So the all thing has changed, but still the customer demands the quality and the low cost. So we can say that the actions are same, like we have to take the feedback from the user, we have to develop the software according to the feedback, and we have to deliver the quality as well as the efficiency. As we can say that our software must match with the requirements. So actions are same, only the technology and methods are changing day by day. So software development life cycle is series of steps, like we have to adopt a method. By doing or by following that methods or steps, we can produce a high quality software. The software development life cycle refers to the phases of work involved in producing software applications, because we know that first of all we have to take the requirements from the user, then we have to work on that requirements, then we have to sign the agreement, then we have to work on different phases, so in the end we can deliver the high quality software. So each phase corresponds to the role or responsibility that contributes to the software must understand. We must know in each step which things we have to do, which action we must take, or which thing must be happen before going to the next step. So we must understand the importance and the depth of each step, and we have to perform every step in the proper way. So we have to understand, manage and optimize to deliver their software services with speed and performance. As we know now, our goal is that we have to deliver the software in short time or in minimum time, as we are now in the phase of competition. So we have to deliver in a high quality software at low cost and in minimum time. So software development cycle process intends to deliver high quality software that meets client expectations, like the client must be satisfied in the end, otherwise we have to make a lot of changes in the software. So the customers feedback and customers demand is the first priority in the software development. The system development should be finished in the predefined time and cost. We have to define the deadlines, and according to their deadlines we have to finish our work, and within the budget that we have described in our requirement document or in our documentation, we must develop our software within that cost. So why we need software development cycle? as we know, for every purpose, like if we are developing a single thing or we are doing any simple activity, we must have to adopt a process. By adopting that process, we can finish our work in minimum time or in an effective way. So we have to adopt different methodology when we are developing our softwares as well as our hardwares. Anything that we are going to develop, we must have to follow the series of steps, or we must have to follow the process. So it gives the reason for budget outlining, scheduling, and budgeting. We can estimate how much cost is required, how much time is required, as the different peoples are planning about that development or that software. It gives a framework for projects and deliverables. Like we can divide the software in different parts, and we can define that the first part will be delivered with after 2 weeks, the second part will be delivered within 3 weeks, or up to so on. So we have to decide how many parts will be maken from the whole project and how we are going to deliver each chunk of that project. So we have to make a framework or a layout. By adopting that layout or by following that layout, we can deliver the project in minimum time or in different deadlines. It is a best way for project tracking and administration. Like we can track at any time, as we have the documents and we have the plan in front of us, so we can track how much target is done and how much is remaining. So we can track the project performance at any spot. So we can track our working, as well as we can make the things in a manageable form. We can make administrative steps during that thing. Like if we need much time for a single chunk, so we can minimize the or we can change the next deadlines, or we can manage other things in a proper way, or we can increase the manpower if we are unable to meet our deadlines. So we can manage our project in a better way. It increase the visibility of the project planning to all associated stakeholders, thereby helping in expansion process. So we are dealing with our stakeholders, or we are dealing with our customers, so we can discuss all things in the document form or in a planned way. So we can make more easy to make it will make more easy to communicate with our customer as well as with the stakeholders, and we can give a vision to that persons on which project or on which stage we are right now, or how much work we have done, which changes are required. If the demand is given from the stakeholders, the change demand is given, either we are able to make that change or not, or how much time is required to make that change. So it helps to boost the development speed. If we are unable to meet the deadlines, as I told you, that we can increase the manpower or we can increase the working hours. So we have to boost our speed if we are lacking behind the deadlines. It also improves the client relations, as we know at what which point we have to discuss all things with our customer, which point must be discussed in the meeting. We are planning each and everything, and we have the document for everything, or we have signed the agreement between the client and between the developers. So that increase the relationship between, or that improves the relationship between the client and between the developer, as we are discussing each and every point of software with our clients. It helps you to reduce project risk and project administration plan overhead. Like we have decided each and everything, we have planned all our project before the starting, so there is less risk. As we are discussing different points or different requirement, we can discuss the dummy project with our customers, so there is less chance of failure, or there are the less risk at like if we are not discussing anything with the customer, in the end the customer may be not satisfied with our performance or with our software. So there are a lot of risk chances or failure chances. So when we are adopting a proper plan or a proper process, the risk chances are less, and we can wind up our work within specified time. Now there are different phases of software development life cycle, in that we can are the general stages of software development life cycle are given below. According to our software, we can change these stages, are according to the size of project we can change the stages of software, but generally we can follow these stages. First thing is that we have to plan our project, and then we have to gather the requirements. Then we are going to design our software. After the designing, the development stage will be start. When we have developed our project, we have to test over different chunks of our project, and then we have to integrate the different parts of our project to make a whole project. Then we have to make the deployment, then operational, we have to make the maintenance of our project. Like in that diagram we can see that first thing is that we have to, that is a cycle, because we are following that in a loop form. We are repeating these things. Like if we have done 50% of project, or we have done a simple stage of that, or a simple part of that project, for the next part we have to follow the same sequence again. So that is a cycle, or we can say that that is like a loop. We have to follow that again and again for every task. First thing is that we have to plan, and after planning, in planning we have to discuss either we are going to develop that project or not. Sometimes the project is not liable, or the budget is not enough to make that project, or we can say that the margin of the profit is not sufficient. So in the start we have to plan either we are going, or we are feasible about starting of that project or not. So first thing is that we have to plan each and everything, and we have to understand what is our project in real, or what is the real problem on which we are going to work. So after planning we have to gather the requirements, like how we can make that project, what will be the inputs, what will be, what machinery is required, what softwares are required, how much manpower is required. So we have to gather the requirements after the planning. So requirement gathering is the most important stage in software development life cycle. At that spot we can discuss the cost, as we are mentioning the things that are required during the development of our software. So that is the most important stage in development cycle. So we must focus on that. So business analyst and project organizer do client meetings to gather all the requirements. At that spot, we are taking the demand from our customer. So according to that demand, then we will make a document, and then we will discuss that document with the customer. Either we have exactly understand what our customer demands are not, or we have to make some changes in our requirement document. So in the meeting we have to know what the demand of our customer is. So we have to, what is the purpose of that project that on which we are going to work. Either they are making that project for their personal use, for their office use, for their business use. What is the main purpose of that project, so we can make changes according to that. So before creating a product, a core understanding and knowledge of that product is very necessary. We must know that what is the actual thing we are going to build, what is the purpose of that thing, and which persons or which methods are required to develop that software. So for defining the requirements, for gathering the requirements, first thing is that we have to define the requirement. Once the requirement analysis is done, the next stage is surely document the software specification and get them approved by the project stakeholders. As we know, we have to make the documentation at each step, and we have to discuss that document or that paper with the stakeholders as well as with the clients. So at the end they will not be surprised what we have developed. So we have to discuss each and everything with our stakeholders, so they will be agree in the at every stage and on every point. So this can be accomplished through the software requirement specification, the document in which we have listed down all the requirements of the software, what are the features of the software, on which machine the software will be run, either we need the personal computers or we need some sort of special computers. So we have to mention each and every requirement in the document, and then we have to discuss that document with our stakeholders, which embellishes all the product elements to be created and developed during the project life cycle. We have to mention each and everything in that, each and every feature, each and every functionality in that document. Then we have to go towards the software design. Now the next thing is that now we are going to design the software. In that phase of work, we are not developing, we are only designing the software, in which we are making the flow charts, are like we are developing the algorithms in that software. We are going towards the solution, not exactly we are going to development of we are going towards the development. So in this design phase of work, the team makes software design decisions regarding the architecture and make of the software solution. Like we can decide that either we work in the we are going to work in PHP, which language we are going to adopt, which software we are going to work. So we are going towards the design. We can make a rough estimation or rough solution, like we can say that we can build the algorithms as well as we can convert that algorithms into the flow chart. So we are designing over software. We are not developing over software. It can involve design documents, coding guidelines, and discussion of tools which we are going to use, practices, run times of frameworks that we help to team meet the software. We are deciding which persons we required, either our team is sufficient to make that project or not, or we need the extra team members. So at that stage, we are going towards the solution. We are not only actually developing our software. So in that goal defined in the requirement gathering phase. Software development, in that we are going to develop the software. In that stage of work, team builds the software solutions based on the design. Like if we have made the flow chart, then we are going to convert that flow chart in any programming language. So we can say that we are developing the software at that stage. We are using that tools that we have discussed in the design stage. So here teams meet the goals and outcomes set during the software requirement gathering by implementing the solution. We are going towards the implementation of the solution that we have discussed in the design phase. And that implementation must meet the goals that we have discussed in the requirement document. Now, after development, the development process may include teams of people, new technologies, unexpected challenges. As we are developing each and everything, sometimes the results will not meet to the goals, so we have to make changes according to the challenges are according to the difference. So, however, the development teams typically work with the technology leads and product or project managers to unlock the processes, make decisions, or provide support. So, at that, and we can say that at that stage, this stage demands a lot of time and a lot of hard work, a lot of work. Here we have to make the decisions which alternative solution is we can adopt, which alternate tool we can adopt. And so that's why we have to take the decisions, or we have to take suggestions from the managers or from other team members. We have to conduct the meetings, and as well as we have to make we can change the technology. So we have to check either we are going towards our goal or not. If we are not going towards our goal, we have to, if we are not meeting our goals, so we have to make decisions according to the demand of the user or according to the change that are required inside our software. So this stage of work ends once teams have packaged and built their code. So at that stage, we are done with the coding. Then we are done with either the results are according to our. At that stage, we have to go with the coding. And after coding, we will check either we are going towards the goal or not. If we are not towards our goal or near to our goal, we have to make decisions or we have to change over technology, over processes, over tools. So that is the most hardworking stage, or that is at that stage we need a lot of time. So after the development stage, now we are going towards the implementation or coding. So in this stage of software development life cycle, implementation means like if we are developing any website, we have to upload that website on the server and we have to check either our website is working properly or not. Or if we have designed a window based application, any application that we are using on phones or on our computers, we have to install that application to check either all the coding is correct or not. And after implementation, we can extend our coding or we can make changing in the coding. So in this stage of software development life cycle, the exact development begins. So as we know, we have uploaded the website, then we can see either our goals are according to our requirement demand or not. So the execution of design begins concerning script code. So then we have start, like we can say that now we are switching from dummy to the real model of our software. So developers have to follow the coding guidelines defined by their management and programming tools like compilers, interpreters, debuggers. So at that stage, we are going to run each and everything, and we are seeing the results that we got after the coding. So we have to implement our software. After implementation, now the stage is that we have to test over each module. As in the start, we have divided our whole project into different modules. So now we have to check either the all the implementation or the results are correct or not. So in this phase of work, the software implementation is packed, and then we are going towards the test phase to check either over all the results meets to our goal or our requirements are not. We have to check the quality, we have to check the output accuracy, we have to check the efficiency. Like sometimes the delay time is so much high, so we have to make changes so the response time is proper. So we have to test over software in all the aspects like time, response, and the results accuracy. So we have to test the quality assurance, ensure that the solution implemented pass the standard for quality and performance. This can involve unit testing, performing integration, and end-to-end tests. Like we are tested each and every module separately, and then we have to going towards the integration. And after the integration, we have made a whole project, and then in the last we have to verify or check the whole project so we can identify the overall solution. Is there any bug or any defect in the overall solution or overall software? Then we have to goes towards the deployment or goes towards the amendment phase. Now deployment, in this stage of work, the software is deployed into a production environment. Like we have delivered that to any person or inside the towards the manager, then the deployment stage is started. The work gathered, designed, developed, and tested is shared with the consumers and users of the software services. Now at the stage is that after the testing of the developer, now the user can give the feedback according to the developed software. So at that stage, we can deliver that software to the manager or the customer that are going to use that software. So this process involves the improvement in the software. So we can say that we are provisioning the infrastructure within an own premises or cloud provider, and defining a software deployment strategy for delivering the changes to a customer. Like at that stage, the customer check either the things we have developed that is according to their demand, according to their requirement document or not. If any changing is required, every amendment is required, the user will list down that things, and after that the developer will make changes according to the requirement of the user. So that is our deployment stage. Now maintenance stage, at that stage we are making changes inside the software, or we are making updation inside our software. So in this stage of work, the software is operationalized to ensure there are no issues or incidents related to the deployment. No bug occurred, like after some time, after the use of 4 months, 5 months, sometimes the bugs occurs inside the software. So we have to make it operational. After the uses, either there are some incidents, some bugs, or the performance slowdowns after the use of some time. So we have to maintain our software. So we have to make changes according to the use to make it make it better, or the operational things must be better. So this stage of work can involve reviewing, understanding, and monitoring network setting, infrastructures, configurations, and performance of application services in the production. So we have to check our software according to our hardware, or we can say that according to the environment in which we are using that software. So this process can involve incident resolution or management in the course of any issue or changes made to impact our customer or user base. So like in the contract, mostly the software companies take the responsibilities of on yearly basis, or they charge from the customer on yearly basis, and during that year if there is any issue occurred in the website or in the application, they are responsible to maintain that software, or they are responsible to sort out that bug that occurred during the use of that software. So in the operational form, if there is any bug occurred, it is a responsibility of the developer to manage that bug or give the solution according to that issue that occurred in the software. So that is includes in the maintenance phase. Or we can add more features according to the user demand at that stage, after the use of 1 year, after the use of 6 months, 2 months, 1 month, the user thinks that there must be additional features inside our software. So they will give the feedback, or they will give the demand, and according to that demand, it is the responsibility of that developer to maintain that software or to update that software according to the new features demand. So role of the software development life cycle phases. There can be some crossover or blurring of the lines in many of the software development life cycle phases, but the importance of each phase as a dissimilar element in the overall life cycle cannot be denied. So we have to focus each and every stage. Like sometimes we think that that stage is not so much important, or there is some issues occurred in the switching towards from one stage to another stage, but we have to focus each and every stage, as each stage is dissimilar from other. So we have to make working or make planning on each stage. Without a full analysis of customers' need or the requirement for the software or application, necessary functionality and needed features, design and development cannot be proceed. If we don't know what is the actual software, what is the demand, what is the use, how we can make a effective design, and if our design is not effective, how we can make the coding, or how we can make the development of that software, how we can test that software, as we don't know what is the actual demand, which features are required, what is the functionality, either our software is reliable or not, or how much budget is required. So if we cannot make the planning in a proper way, we have not make the document of requirement documentation, list of requirements, so we cannot be able to make a design, as well as we cannot make development So we have to focus on each and every stage. Each and every stage is important in software development life cycle. Without accurate design work forehead, the software cannot be deployed. We cannot develop that software, and we cannot maintain that software as we don't have any document, any features, or any working in behind to that design. So without skilled developers on the project, the development will be slow or troubled with problems. The result will not be matched. We and our customer will not be satisfied. There are a lot of risk chances in that if we are not adopting us uh, each and every stage, or we are not adopting a whole process seriously or in a correct way. Without being able to accurately test software or an application, bugs could slip through that would compromise operationality or stability. It's all interconnected. All stages are connected to each other. So if we have not doing work on a single stage, the next stages will be affected. So we have to work on each and every stage. So why does the software development lifecycle matter for software delivery? Now that we know more about the work associated with each part of software development lifecycle, we can discuss why it matters and how it applies to how we deliver software today. As we know, the time is a main challenge, and we have to make our software or develop our software within a limited time. So we must know which features are delivered earlier, which features can be delivered after the important features. So that is important how we are delivering our software, how much part of the software or which parts are delivered at the start. So we must know how we are delivering that software. For many organizations, a challenge is delivering better software faster. Which features are required at the start? We have to discuss that. Understanding the software development life cycle allow team to understand what it takes to deliver features or code changes to the customer. So we can discuss each and everything, and we can deliver according to the demand of the customer. The reality of many developers is to need to wait months or years to see code changes made it out to the user. So when we are make changes according to the demand of the user, it takes a lot of time. So we have to understand the code, and then we have to make changes in the code. It can take months or years. So coupled with a lack of visibility, communication, and collaboration during the process, if we are not discussing each and everything with our customer, will not be able to make the software according to the customer's demand. So when there is a lack of communication between the developer and between the user, so we have to make a lot of changes after the development of our software. So that takes a lot of time to make changes in that software. So at every stage, when we are in development stage, or either we are on design stage, we have to discuss the software with our uh, customer. So in design, we the changes is easy, or in the during the development stage, the changing is easy. When we are switching towards the implementation stage, the changes is hard to make. So we have to make communication, or the communication is necessary during the development stage of our software. So organization and team that have the capability to deploy on demand and in self-service fashion empower their teams to continue doing their best work. So there must be flexibility during the development of our software, the demand according to the demand of the user, so their work can be best. Researchers found that the engineering team spend on average a lot of dollars when we are deploying our software, or we are making changes over software. So production development efforts results on average on 25 hours of engineering effort. So when we are deploying our software, or we are making changes after the development, that takes a lot of time. Coding itself will not be take so much time, but when we are making changes after the development, that takes a lot of time. So software development life cycle offers perspective into the work phases needed to produce software. So there are different meetings can be conducted when we are following the software development life cycle, and we are working on requirement, then we are going towards the design phase. So at every stage we are planning each and everything, and when we are following each and every stage in a proper way, and we are discussing at all the things with our customers, so we can make a more accurate software according to the demand of the customer. So it will take less time in the deployment stage or in the maintenance stage. So understanding this work allow team to avoid the delivery issue by creating and owning checks and balances early on in the deployment and delivery life cycle. So we can make changes in the design phase by conducting the meeting with the customers. This is also about incorporating feedback and insights during the software development process to continuously deliver value in a repeatable, quick, and sustained fashion. So we can take the feedback from the customer, so we can make more efficient and more accurate software. So understanding the software development life cycle allow team to also improve their development performance, which can be measured through the matrices. Like we can check our performance according to the feedback, according to the test any matrices that are mentioned by the manager or by the organization. We can check our performance according to that. So examples of software development life cycle, their different models are used nowadays. The most commonly used model is agile, but before the agile we was working with the waterfall. Still we are using the waterfall. We have discussed these models little bit in lecture number 1, but now we will discuss these models in detail. We will go through with the each stage of these models. So computer scientists, software development persons and the leaders have always aimed to deliver better software faster. So different methodologies are developing day by day, but most commonly used methodologies are waterfall, spiral, agile. So emerge to describe and represent the software development lifecycle processes and manages the level of development complexity as demand, tools, processes, and mindsets change. So according to our need, we can adopt any methodology from given methodology or from the commonly used methodology, or we can make changes according to our need. We can merge one or two methodologies. So the first is waterfall. We will discuss waterfall methodology. As we know, that is the oldest technology methodology. So in that we can follow only one method, there is no loop or no cycle in that methodology. We have to finish first phase, then we have to switch towards next, then next. We can't go behind. So that is a linear methodology. Like its name indicates, waterfall, it will flow in a same sequence or in a single sequence. There is no, we can say that we cannot make changes during the development stage. Waterfall model, the classical waterfall model is the basic software development life cycle. So we can say that that is the first methodology that we used in old ages. That is so much simple methodology, as we are, all the team is working on the first stage, and after the completion of first stage we will go towards the next stage, and after the next stage we will go towards the next stage. When we are doing the coding, we are not taking any meetings with the customers, or we are not analyzing either we are according to our requirement or not. So we are focusing only on a single phase at the same time. So we can say that that is a linear methodology. Earlier this model was very popular, but nowadays it is not used. As we know, today is the technology changing phase. So day by day the technology is improving, so we have to adopt the technology or the methodology that can that is flexible, that is not rigid. So but it is very important because all the other software development life cycle models are based. So that is the basic model, and from that model we have make more models are by combining that model, are combining 2 or 3 stages of that model, are repeating the different stages of that model. We can understand the different models that we are using nowadays. So we can say that waterfall model is the basic model, are the most important model. The classical waterfall model divides the life cycle into a set of phases. So the software development life cycle is divided in different phases, and by adopting these phases we can make any software, we can develop any software. This model considers that one phase can be started after the completion of the previous phase. We cannot start 2 stages at the same time, or we can say that we cannot parallel do more than one work. So we have to focus only on a single stage at that at single time. So this is output of one stage will be the input of the next phase. So we have to completely develop first thing, and then we will go towards the next phase. Thus the development process can be considered as a sequential flow in the waterfall. Here the phases do not overlap with each other. So the stages are of the waterfall are feasibility study. Either the software is feasible and not are not, then we have to gather the requirements, then we will go towards the design, then we will go towards the coding and unit testing, then integration and system testing, and then we will go towards the maintenance. First one is feasibility study. Feasibility study means either we go towards the development or not, our software is feasible or not. So the main goal of this phase is to determine whether it would be financially and technically feasible to develop that software or not. We have the technology to solve that problem. We have sufficient budget. Our finance is strong for before the development of our software. So we have to check either the software is feasible or not in the feasibility study. The feasibility study involves understanding the problem and then determining various possible strategies to solve the problem. So we in each solution we have to discuss the latest technology. If the technology is not available, we can state at the start that the feasibility our project or our software is not feasible due to the technology. So there these different identified solutions are analyzed based on their benefits and drawbacks. Then we have to choose the best one. So we can say that at the start we have to understand what's the actual problem is, then we have to give the multiple solutions to that problem, then we have to analyze which solution is best, and then we have to go towards that chosen solutions. Requirement analysis and specification. The aim of requirement analysis and specification phase is to understand the exact requirements, which things are required, which persons are required. So we have to mention the requirements of our software. What are the requirements of customer? We are going to list down that requirements, or we are making the document. So this phase consists of 2 different activities. First thing is that requirement gathering and analyzing, and then second one is requirement specification. Requirement gathering means we are collecting our requirements. Firstly, all the requirements regarding to the software are gathered from the customer, and then gathered requirements are analyzed. Sometimes the customer is not sure about the software, so we have to guide our customer. We will take the requirements from the customer, and then we have to check either the requirements are sufficient or not. Is any extra thing or any extra features is needed according to the demand of the user. Sometimes the user is not able to told about each and everything about the software. So we have to analyze that requirements. The goal of analyze part is to remove incompleteness if the features are not completed or something is required, extra required inside the requirements are inside the features, we have to mention that. So we have to make the requirements complete. An incomplete requirement is one in which some parts of actual requirement have been omitted, as the customer that are going to that is visiting the software house sometimes are not well familiar with the software. So we have to make our requirements complete. And if there is any inconsistency in our requirement, we have to make it consistent. We have to make a layout. We have to make the requirements in ordered form. So we have to analyze our requirements. After analyzation, now the stage is that we have to document that requirement. So after analyzation, and when we have discussed each and everything, and we have studied which things are required or what are the features of our software, we have to make a document. So that is software requirement specification, SRS document. So SRS documents serve as a contract between the development team and the customer, because these are the features, are the functionality on which we are going to work. So we will take the sign from the customer to on that document. So the customer and the developer both know which functionality must be delivered in the last. Any future dispute between the customer and the developer can be settled by looking through or going through the SRS document, as there must not be any confusion before the development. Then we have go towards the design phase. The goal of this phase is to convert the requirement in the software requirement specification into a format that can be coded in programming language. So we can say that at that stage we can make the algorithms, we can make the flowcharts of the solution. So after designing that, we can convert that algorithms or flowcharts in any programming language. So we have to design the solution in a formal way, or in a way in which the programmer can understand the solution. So it includes high level and detailed design as well as the overall design and software architecture. We can give the solution in form of diagrams or in form of sequence wise steps. So we have to design over software. A software design document is used to document all of its effort. So we are listing down each and every step in a document that is called the software design document. As we know, the waterfall model focuses on the documentation. Everything that and every activity will be documented during each phase. After the designing, we have go towards the coding and unit testing. In the coding phase, the software design is translated into source code in any programming language. Like we have developed an algorithm, then we are converting that algorithm into any programming language, that is called over coding. So as each design module is coded, the aim of unit testing phase is to check whether each module is working properly or not. Like we can take the example of a calculator. We have taken the modules of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So we will check either the addition results are accurate, subtraction results are accurate or not. We are making our taking we are checking our testing over each module, either these modules are working properly or not. That is called over unit testing. After that, we are combining, integrating over different modules, and then we are going towards the system testing. Integration of different modules are undertaken soon after they have been coded and unit tested. Then we have know each and every module is working properly. Then we will combine the modules. Integration of various modules is carried out incrementally over a number of steps. Like then in first step we have combined addition and subtraction. In next step we have combined the multiplication with that. So we are combining the results one by one or step by step. During each integration step, previously planned modules are added to the partially integrated system and the resultant system is tested. Then we are testing each and like when we are combining different modules, each after the each combination we will check that combination and then we will add the new module in that combination. Finally, after all the modules have been successfully integrated and tested, the full working system is obtained and system tested is carried out on this. So we have to compare the results with the given results that have the results tested results. So we have given different test cases. So we have to check either the results are accurate or not in the end when we have integrated over whole system. After the integration and system testing, the testing can be of system testing can be of three categories. The first one is alpha testing, beta testing, and third one is acceptance testing. Alpha testing is the system testing performed by the development team who have developed the software. They will check either the results match with the goals or not. Beta testing means we are giving that software towards or that system towards the friendly set of customer. So we can given that to any correlation customers or any person who can check that software. So in the end we will go towards the customer, either they accept the results or not. After the software has been delivered, the customer performed acceptance testing to determine whether to accept the delivered software or reject it. After testing, we have to check which changes are required. After each and every development, now we will go towards the demand of the customer. Either they are satisfied or not. If they are not satisfied, which demands or which changes are required, we will do that changes on the maintenance phase. The maintenance is the most important phase of a software life cycle. The effort spent on maintenance is 60%. As we have not discussed any design with the customer, we have not taken any meeting during the development phase. So after the testing, then we have developed each and everything. Now we are going towards the feedback, or we are taking the feedback from the customer. So now our effort will be 60% on the maintenance. So there are basically three types of maintenance. First one is corrective maintenance. This type of maintenance is carried out to correct errors that were not discovered during the product development phase that are mentioned by the customer who have tested over the software. So we have to make corrections and make the errors, or we can say that we are debugging over software. We are overcoming the errors or bugs that occur during the testing or during the use of our software. Prefective maintenance. This type of maintenance is carried out to enhance the functionalities of the system based on the customer request. Like the response time of software is slow, the results are not so much accurate, or we can say that some extra features are required. So we can make changes according to the customer request. So adaptive maintenance is usually required for porting the software to work in a new environment, such as working on a new computer platform or with a new operating system. Like we switch towards the new technology, or the organization has changed the software. So now we have to change over software or develop application according to the new environment. That is called adaptive maintenance. We can say that we can configure our software with the requirements or with the environment that has changed. So we have to maintain our software according to the changes that occurred in the hardware as well as in the software as well as in the operating systems. So what are the plus points of waterfall models? That is a linear method, easy to understand, easy to implement. So we can do our work without any disturbance. Like if we are discussing each and everything with our customer, sometimes customers are giving too much demands during the development phase. So there will be a lot of disturbance during the development. So we cannot focus on the development. So understanding that methodology as well as implementation of that methodology is easy and simple for new developers. So all the specifications and deliverables are spelled out before the development is started. Our development will be either we are going to develop the software. So we have discussed each and every requirement at the start. New feature will be added during the development phase. So as I told you that no disturbance will be made by the customer when we are developing our software. There is no room. There is no room for miscommunication information with the waterfall model as it's clearly defined in each stage. Like on requirement stage, we have communicated over customer and we have making the agreement with our customer, and the customer is stick with that agreement. We have clearly told that the functionality will be that, and we will only do the work according to that functionality. So no miscommunication will be done as we are working on the single or same document on, or we are updating the same document on every stage. So miscommunication or disturbance will not be done in that method. Reinforces good habits, define before design, design before codes. So we are focusing over all tries are all work all time on single stage, and we have to complete over one stage before going towards the next stage. This model works well for small projects and projects where requirements are well understood. Like we are working with the same thing or the same software. We are developing a website for the school that are similar mostly in most institutes. We are developing any application for the supermarket or superstores, so that may be same. So when we are developing any new thing at that stage or at that time, waterfall model is not suitable. So the projects are the software that are not new or that are same, so we can adopt that model. What are the negative points? It does not include customers' feedback in the early phase, which increases the risk of project varying off the target. Maybe at some stage we are not according to the demand of the user, or we misunderstood what is the demand of the user, as we are not discussing anything during the development phase of our customer. Testing is only executed at the end of the development. We are not testing the simple modules or anything. We are not taking the test of our design. We are not making any dummy model. So testing is only executed when we have developed each and everything. So the problems that occurred or the bugs that occurred at the end are harder to fix at the later stage. That is the rigid model. So rigid waterfall model give no room for the changes, making it suitable for complex project that demands different changes or flexibility. That is, this model is not suitable for that projects. The team can spend too much time on documentation instead of delivering solution that solve the user's problem. We are giving so much time to the documentation. We are listing each and every activity. We are making the document for each and every activity that help in maintenance. When we are going to make or update, make changes, or we are going towards the updation, that documentation will be really helpful. But when we are working on the documentation, we are missing over interest or over time towards the development stage, because we are not taking the demand of the user, we are not taking the feedback of the users, so we are not giving attention towards the user problems. Use waterfall model only when we have a project with the clearly defined scope. Like we are not giving, we are not going to working on a new idea, we can use that waterfall model. It is not suitable for development that involves many unknowns. Like the customer came to you, that is not exactly know what the demand of the customer is, actual demand of the customer. He or she is not well familiar with the software or with the functionality of the software, we will not adopt that methodology. Waterfall is ideal for the project with predictable outcomes and when you have a team of inexperienced developers. So at that time when we have not a strong team, or we can say that we have the beginners in our team, we can adopt that model that is ideal for that. Or the predictable, like as I told you that some common software we are going to develop, that software we can use waterfall model. Okay, there, and the next one is agile. We will discuss agile and remaining methodologies in next lecture. Till now, is there any confusion in your lecture? Okay, inshallah, in next class, we will discuss two or more methodologies and we can compare these methodologies, as that is the basic methodology. And if we have understand what is the waterfall model, the next methodologies will be easy for us. So take care, have a good day. Allah Hafiz.